Hey everybody, Mags here. We are going to review some of the hints and tips that we've been given this year on the Dynasty Hot Seat. If you are new here, do me a favor, can you like, comment, share on this video for me, please, like you can see here. And then also, if you're new here, why not hit that subscribe button too? It really helps out. Right, on to the hints and tips.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like, it sounds cliche, but prepare and practice. A lot of people, especially first-time dynasty drafters, what they'll do is they'll just say, okay, it's like a redraft. I'll wing it. I'll just do the draft when it comes, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
But now, you have the availability of so many different variations of mock drafts, and you can tweak them, for example, on Sleeper, which we both use and love.
Yeah.
You can tweak them so you can even, and you can go as in depth as you want to actually make sure that, for example, you could do a mock draft just with running backs. Yeah. And then you can see, without having to look through a massive draft board, who are going to be the first 30. And then you go back to the full one and see where they're being picked. And if you know that you can get in a 10-man league that you're looking to get at least 3 of those 30, then you just got to cherry pick where you want to find them. And, depending on where you are each end of the draft, you might want to draft one round ahead, or you might just want to wait and see, if you have 3 or 4 options. Damian Harris is a guy who usually drops to the 4th, 5th round. And, he's a lead back. Even though Stevenson's there, he's going to get the majority of carries. So, which leads us into point 2 quite nicely. So, Dynasty, it's not an all or nothing season. So essentially you can make up some ground in the next round, in the next year's draft, if you don't think that you're drafting well. And if you've started the draft badly, there's no point tanking that draft, because there are still loads of useful players that you can pick up. As I mentioned, Damian Harris, you won't get him in round 3. People won't take him in round 3. But if you haven't got a decent running back by round 3, pick him up, because he could win you 1 or 2 games. And if it comes to game 5, 6 of the season and you're in a winning position, he's going to be a very useful player. And if you're not in a winning position, you've got some trade capital, and 2, you've got a decent player to at least disrupt people who are, in the challenging for the title, which is usually my favorite sport.
You are an absolute master at disruption and winning by the smallest margins. I don't know how you managed to do it, but it is a special skill that you have.
So I think in not the league that we're in, but another league with a few of the same guys. Yeah, I think I've got the second most wins, but I've also got the second lowest points scored.
Wow.
So it's a risky strategy. Yeah. But if you know how to pick your teams properly, it's it can just fall in your favor. And and not saying this is part of draft strategy, but maybe somewhat. But the schedule was one of my favorite days, because you can look at players, you can pretty much say, here's a good example. If you know the cornerbacks for Green Bay are going to be playing against your receivers, say you're Detroit, you're thinking when you're drafting, there's going to be a receiver there for Detroit who's going to have 2 bad games this season. Yeah. So then, because the receivers are going to be out of play, pick the tight end, go Hawkinson. Yeah. And this is why, and the same with Conklin or Irv Smith, the Vikings. It works out in the same way. If you know Jefferson's going to be handled by Alexander and Stokes or both or whoever, then the 3 guy is going to be Conklin. So go Conklin. And you don't need to go and pick Conklin in the 5th, 6th round. You can get him in the last round. And that's what I mean about drafting players who are going to be useful.
He was even on the waivers, I think, for a lot of leagues this year, Alex Conklin. He was. Yeah, because, I managed to draft Irv Smith in almost every league. And of course, he got horrifically injured the second I drafted him. It seemed to be a treat I managed to pick up this year. But great. That is a really good shot.
I've been quite lucky so far, but I think if it's also not your first dynasty draft and you're doing your first supplemental draft, again, repeat the same thing. The actual draft is a good indicator on where people are going to get chances. But if you watch players before the hype, like I've already watched the 2022 class already.
Yes.
So for me, I'm not going to name any names just now because I want to test my theory. But essentially, like I'll give you an example of last year. So last year, I was looking at people and I said, okay, well, it doesn't matter where they land. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Bateman. They're going to be two key guys. You know, Bateman's stock sort of just slowly went up. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, he wasn't in the same category as Bateman, as Chase, and Waddle. So, he was the guy I picked first in the second round. I didn't need a first round pick because I knew that I wanted St. Brown.
Yeah, and you just got your
which
guy.
goes against my Green Bay cornerbacks theory, but it's
but he still had a good season,
Yeah, and the season before, the guys in the other league, they'll tell you I had 5 picks, and of the 5 picks, I picked Gibson, Ayuk, Claypool. I can't remember who else there was now. I think I drafted the Titans, Darrington Evans, but he's been injured, and then I took Anthony McFarland. Obviously, we know, but 3 out of those 5, and
that's a pretty
I took
good
Anthony
return.
McFarland because I thought Connor would be down with injuries. Fortunately, they chose Snell instead. Yeah, and the same logic for Henry, but when Henry was injured, Evans was also injured. So, you win some, you lose some. I think I'm still holding on to them because I'm scared they'll do well if I drop them. But again, Claypool was very simple. I looked at him and saw that he had 16, 17 touchdowns in his last season at Notre Dame, and going by his athleticism, his speed, his diversity, and what roles he can use, I got him in the 3rd round.
Amazing.
Yeah. Fair enough. It was a deep receivers class, but and it'll be the same this season as well. There's going to be a lot of wide receivers going first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think the big one from last season I can think of is a guy that I just tried to get as much as possible. You can get him quite late. Was Elijah Moore. Just seemed to be as like draft season went on and on, he kind of crept up. But at the start, I got him in like the start of the 3rd round in some drafts, and it was just absolute steal. And again, he's the kind of guy you just look at and you go, wow, well, he's going to fit. And you might look at the Jets team and you go, well, there's no real competition there for him.
Absolutely.
So that's something I like.
That. Yeah, and it's also, it depends how much. I've started watching a lot more college football in the last, say, 3 to 5 years, and there are definitely schools which breed different which breed players to a good strength, and you can see that in the program. Look at Metcalf, AJ Brown, Elijah Moore, all came through. And so if you can sort of see this is the pedigree. You got to take a closer look. The same a little bit with Gibson and Gainwell, both running backs / receivers at Memphis. And Gibson's had a better chance in that. When he joined when it was the Washington FT.
The Commanders.
Yeah,
they probably were. Yeah.
But he was sixth on the depth chart because they had Adrian Peterson, they had McKissick, they had Peyton Barber, and then one by one, slowly, they were all dropped and made way for Gibson. And that wasn't a surprise to me. And then that literally just comes to watching film. Then just to close off, I think the other thing that I like to do is take my time when drafting. If you know that if you spend a lot of time preparing, which player you're going to get at which round, take them, don't change your mind. But especially if you're doing the first draft, first dynasty draft, it's important to see what the other players are picking, because some people will go, especially in a super flex, some people will go two QBs first. They want to get them out of the way. But in reality, by doing that, they sort of lose themselves a skill player, because they're sort of like a block of QBs. They go at the beginning, there's a couple of rounds, and then they start going again. So it's all about understanding the draft board. But some teams will draft badly, especially if it's first time, or if they're feeling rushed, or they see like a Cooper Kupp is in the third round, I'll take him because he can win me this season. They'll take him. And what that will do is you will see an imbalance between the other team's squads and maybe yours. So if you see a guy has picked 2 QBs and 5 receivers, and they haven't got a running back until round 7, pick running backs, and you can make those trades.
Yeah,
have that in mind, and don't even wait for the draft to be over. If you know the person, just start saying, let's do a little trade straight away.
So you definitely need a running back because
I've
taken them all. Yeah, that's a really good study.
Exactly.
No, is that like Shan Tzu, Art of War? Was it know your enemy? Is that what he says?
Well,
so, oh, you've got it, dude.
There we go.
Wow.
Behold,
the art of war. You should just put a sticker on that says Dynasty Strategy.
Oh, applications in this.
Do you just have little notes on it saying take Gibson in the third next to paragraph 3 and like?
Exactly.
Oh, that is amazing. Well, Alex, thank you so much. Those are 3 amazing tips.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. Remember, like this video, leave a comment if you want, and subscribe to the channel. These videos are going to be coming thick and fast, so you don't want to miss anything. So that's it for today. In the meantime, keep yourselves, keep your teams lit. We'll see you next time.